To the refugee crisis in Gaza, where, as easy as it seems for some world leaders in the Middle East and elsewhere, as well as some members of the media, to point the finger just at Israel for not allowing civilians from Gaza to get out or to get humanitarian aid in, the truth is that Arab countries like Egypt, which shares Gaza's only land border crossing not shared with Israel, and the nation of Jordan, which borders the West Bank, don't want the Palestinians, the people from Gaza, coming into their countries either. But for whatever reason, there is very little discussion of this. Why is it purely on Israel to deal with the civilians in Gaza? Jordan's King Abdullah II saying in no uncertain terms today that he will not take a single Palestinian refugee.
And I think I can quite strongly speak on behalf not only of Jordan as a nation, but of our friends in Egypt. That is a red line, because I think that is the plan by certain of the usual suspects to try and create de facto issues on the ground. No refugees in Jordan, no refugees in Egypt. This is a situation of humanitarian dimension that has to be dealt inside of Gaza and the West Bank, and not to try and push the Palestinian challenge and their future onto other people's shoulders.
A hard no, basically, in response to the German chancellor's hopes that neighboring Arab countries would take in Palestinian refugees ahead of what seems to be an imminent ground invasion by Israel. Egypt's president also has pushed back, saying, quote, "It's important for its people to stay steadfast and exist on its land. They fear for their safety, too." The Arab world most directly impacted doesn't want these people on their land. Judge them if you want, but at least let's talk about what's actually happening. Egypt has taken part, along with Israel, in the blockade of the Gaza Strip for the last decade and a half. But as Gazans flee to the crossing with Egypt, it seems little aid is getting in. Egypt is trying to put the blame on Israel, saying there's an urgent need to alleviate the suffering of Palestinian civilians in Gaza, except the border, well, it's not closed, but it's, quote, inoperable, they say, due to Israeli airstrikes on the Gaza side. Even Palestinian authorities dispute Egypt's claim that they never closed the border. It's not even clear whether Hamas would allow the crossing to be open. They've shown little regard for their own civilians, and the more they can blame Israel, the better for them. Joining me now is David Makovsky. He's the director of the Koret Project on Arab-Israel relations at the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, teaches Middle Eastern Studies at Johns Hopkins, also a former senior advisor to the U.S. Special Envoy. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so what do you make of the announcement today from King Abdullah II that Jordan doesn't want any refugees?
Well, it's not surprising. There's always been this huge gap between what Arab states say publicly in terms of their commitment to the Palestinian cause and, sadly, to what they want to do in practice. Israel has a whole set of relationships with Egypt and Jordan and the security services of each against Hamas, and doesn't want to jeopardize those relations, also has peace treaties with these countries. But of course is frustrated by this chasm between what is said publicly and what they do privately. And here the king actually said publicly, we won't accept them. I mean, the ostensible reason is we're not going to let Israel export the Palestinian issue. But A, they're concerned with a lot of security dimensions of having Hamas people on their territory. They certainly wouldn't put up with it in their state. You can go back to Black September in Jordan in 1970. You can go back to 2011, 2013, really, with Egypt and its move against the Muslim Brotherhood, of which Hamas is the Gaza chapter, so to speak. So what these countries will say, on one hand, publicly, and what they actually do is something very different.
And there's very little talk about this, right? I mean, it seems all the talk is about what is Israel doing to allow aid to get in, allow people to leave. But, if the Egyptians wanted people to leave, they could leave unless, I guess, Hamas would prevent them from doing it, right? Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.